But first, that breathtaking high wire act across a gorge near the Grand Canyon.
That's right. For a nerve-wracking 22 minutes, and don't forget those 54 seconds, the whole world watched as Nik Wallenda walked on a 2-inch steel cable, talking, praying at times, sometimes kneeling along the way, until he safely reached the other side. Nik Wallenda is back on the site, or at the site of that historic walk. Nick, I was trying to think, either you slept like a baby last night or you were too wound up to sleep at all. Which was it?
Well, it was the second of the two for sure. I didn't sleep at all.
What was it like up there in terms of all the preparation? How did reality differ from your expectations?
Well, it differed quite a bit, actually. You know, I trained for worst cases in my hometown of Sarasota, Florida, while I was training. But I wasn't prepared for the movement of that cable. And what happened was the tension dropped down, and we knew it was going to vary a little bit by temperatures throughout the day, would change the tension on the cable. But it dropped down to about 62,000 pounds. We wanted it at 65. And because of that, it was moving pretty wildly under my feet.
Well, you're used to the unpredictable nature of this line of work, but were there any truly heart-stopping moments for you?
You know, there was no point where I thought I was going to fall, for sure. But there were points where I was thinking, man, I wish I could just relax. And there was no point during the entire time. I was hoping to talk to Natalie and Willie while I was walking on that cable. There was just no way. I mean, I was working for every single foot to get across that wire.
I don't know if you can see what we're seeing, but we're watching one of the moments where you went down, you took a knee, you did a midair Tim Tebow there for a second. What exactly happened at that moment? Were you simply trying to stop the wire from moving?
That's right. What happens is, as I walk these cables, there's no stabilization on them, so it builds a rhythm in them. And as I was building a rhythm, if I kept walking, it would just get worse and worse. So I actually tried to stop for a little bit, by the direction of my father, actually. Stop, kneel down, and wait a minute, just so that rhythm would go away.
Yeah, you talk about your dad. Your dad said at one point, we could hear him, can you change your cadence?
So cool, ain't so cool right now.
Yeah, you know, he wanted me to slow down, speed up, bigger steps, smaller steps, and that's really important in doing a walk like this. It's easier said than done. Of course, when you're up 1,500 feet without any safety, your goal is to get across that wire. It's not to slow down or speed up. It's just to make it across safely.
Well, we know you're concentrating. We also heard you say your prayers many, many times over. What else goes through your mind as you're walking across in those long 22 minutes?
You know, if the wire was more stable, I would have been able to relax for sure and enjoy it a little bit more. I did have 3 opportunities while I was out there. One was just after I walked over the edge where I could look down and just enjoy the view. And then when I knelt down in the middle, the second time I knelt down, I actually looked down and I was thinking about my great-grandfather who lost his life on a cable in San Juan, Puerto Rico. And really, he's the reason why I do what I do. And then once again, when I made it all the way across, 3/4 of the way across, I was able to look down one more time.
You talk about your great-grandfather losing his life. I would think that would be the last thing you would want to be thinking about while you're out there on that wire.
Well, you know, he's an inspiration to me. Everything that he did paved a road for me to be able to fulfill my dreams. And again, I do everything I do to honor him. It's a reality. He did lose his life. We do know why he lost his life. It had to do with rigging, and really rigging caused him to go down to the safety of the wire. And then it was the fact that he was 73 years old and didn't have the strength to hold on. Worst case, last night, I would have went down to the wire and held on and waited for my rescue team to get to me. He just didn't have the strength to do that. And we've learned that there's a time to retire in our business for sure.
And I hate to ask you, Nick, what have you done for us lately, but are you already thinking ahead to what your next stunt might be?
Absolutely. I'm always thinking ahead. I'm already 2 or 3 ahead of this one.
No, that was a tease.
A tease.
He's apparently not giving us the information. Hey, Nick, congratulations. It was heart-stopping.
Thank you so much.
All right. Willie Geist and Natalie Morales were out there to witness all the drama and host that special coverage. Guys, good morning to both of you.
Morning, Matt.
Nick talked a little while ago about the tension on the wire. Wasn't sure if there was enough tension. Seemed like plenty of tension to me. What was it like from your seat?
Nerve-wracking, I got to tell you. I mean, I think my heart stopped a couple of times, especially when Nick first stepped down on the wire and he said, oh, the wire's really, really dusty. I think at that point I was like, oh no. And then about 2.5 minutes is when he crouched down the first time to the wire. And that's when I really started getting nervous.
And I think in a lot of ways,
Nik lulled us to sleep with his confidence. We spent a lot of time around him the last couple of months, and he said, I got this, it's no problem. He wasn't cocky, but he was very confident. So we were lulled to sleep a little bit, but then when he started that walk, we realized, okay, there's movement in the wire. These winds are really whipping up. We could feel them up at our position where we were anchoring the coverage, and these gusts would come through, and Natalie and I would kind of grab each other and look over at the wire and make sure Nik was okay.
I love that image, you guys standing on firm ground, hugging each other as Nik Wallenda risks his life.
It was literally like this.
But Willie, I have to ask you, I know you guys were hoping or planning to be able to talk to Nik while he was crossing. That's something he elected not to do once the walk was underway. Did that make you a little bit nervous?
You know what? When he started the walk, even before we knew there was any trouble, the way he was talking was so inspirational, talking about his faith, and the conversation with his dad we thought was far more compelling than anything either Natalie and I would have brought to it. So we actually made a decision before Nik decided, listen, I don't want to talk to anybody, that we would kind of just let the moment play out.
And I think it was very clear, too, that Nik really needed to focus. So we were like, we don't want to distract him in any way.
Well, you guys have been there as part of this for a long time. The wire is still there right behind you. Give you any reason to want to give this a shot? Willie, Natalie, any of you?
I was offered by the electrical company that wired it to ride in the basket across, the rescue basket, but I think I'll pass.
And I was in the fetal position up in the trailer.
All right. Natalie, Willie, thank you. Nik Wallenda, again, congratulations. Thanks for joining us this morning.